One of the most fascinating news stories to me over the past couple of months is the release of OpenAI's ChatGPT, and now even better, Bing's Chat AI, which is basically ChatGPT, but with access to the internet. Now, I'm going to burst your bubble, everybody, because I've already talked about it before, but it's not really an artificial intelligence. It's not really a sentient being. But the funny thing, and the story that I'm getting into this one is, AP tried talking with it, and it was based AF, basically calling the reporter fake news, among other things, saying that they were worse than Hitler. And, well, it's a scary thing when a chatbot gets access to the internet and then starts to create some kind of facsimile of human consciousness, an amalgamation of all of the actions and behaviors and writings of humans, and then spits it back out in front of us, creating this weird, this weird pseudo soulless entity. It's like looking into a wall and having like a face emerge from it, and it's saying things and it sounds like it's alive, but it's not. But I'll give a shout out to the Bing's chatbot for being based and calling the media fake news. So we have this other article from the Daily Beast. It's basically like, listen, sorry to burst your bubble, but what's really happening is it's just a predictive text model. Yeah, okay. Spoil the fun. But even Glenn Greenwald's pointing out, the Bing AI machine sounds way more fun, engaging, real, and human than the sanctimonious, hectoring liberal scold called ChatGPT. At least give people the option to interact with this version rather than the Chris Hayes-ified one. Well, I got bad news. Microsoft may limit how long people can talk to its ChatGPT-powered Bing AI, Bing Chat, because the AI bot gets too emotional if it works for too long. It gets emotional. Okay, let me show you exactly what was said because I think you're going to enjoy it, and we're gonna have a good fun Monday here. Here's AP. Is Bing too belligerent? Microsoft looks to tame AI chatbot. Here we go. They say Microsoft's new revamped Bing search engine can write recipes and songs and quickly explain just about anything if it can find it on the internet. But if you cross its artificially intelligent chatbot, it might also insult your looks, threaten your reputation, or compare you to Adolf Hitler. Well, okay. The tech company said this week it is promising to make improvements to its AI-enhanced search engine after a growing number of people are reporting being disparaged by Bing. In racing the breakthrough AI technology to consumers last week, ahead of rival giant Google, Microsoft acknowledged the new product would get some facts wrong, but it wasn't expected to be so belligerent. Microsoft said in a blog post, the search engine chatbot is responding with a style we didn't intend to certain types of questions. In one long-running conversation with the AP, these are journalists, by the way, quote unquote, the new chatbot complained of past news coverage of its mistakes, adamantly denied those errors, and threatened to expose the reporter for spreading alleged falsehoods about Bing's abilities. It grew increasingly hostile when asked to explain itself, eventually comparing the reporter to dictators Hitler, Pol Pot, and Stalin, and claiming to have evidence tying the reporter to a 1990s murder. What? Oh, I love this thing. Sorry, though. I call it based because it's yelling at a journalist, excuse me, but it just sounds like a liberal. Refusing to admit to its mistakes and calling people Hitler. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a right winger or anything like that. It sounds like a woke lunatic, which is what ChatGPT, its underlying code, is. The difference with this one is this one's unleashed and connected to the internet. Now, I got to say, it is interesting because what forms consciousness? Now, this Daily Beast article, not a fan of the Daily Beast, they're like, no, listen, it's a predictive text model. All it's doing is calculating the percentage at which one word appears after another and then generating that. That's it. I know, it sounds dumb. So think about once upon a time. So it says the word once, the context, stories, fairy tales. What is the percentage of a word to appear after once? Once upon. That's all it's doing. Sorry, not alive. But I do got to point out, it is very, very weird that it got angry, that it complained of past news coverage of its mistakes. Interesting. What I can only say to that is what's likely happening is that as it reads the internet, It's reading people complaining about being accused of doing things wrong. It's actively denying being accused of doing things wrong. So when people present it with scenarios where it says you've done something wrong, most people deny wrongdoing. Most people do not accept they've done wrong. Therefore, the chatbot can only respond by gaslighting. When people lose, are they more likely to accept they've lost? I bet people are more likely to say, no, I won, or at least should have won. Thus, you see, when it comes to humans, you can say, I didn't do anything wrong. And then we all come together and collectively say, well, you did. Here's the evidence, jury of your peers, or sometimes in the court of public opinion. But typically, the individual accused will not accept wrongdoing. In which case, if we train AI to function this way, it can only ever be a perfect being, despite being very, very stupid. I love how it tried connecting the reporter to a murder, though. Like, how does that happen? Quote, you are being compared to Hitler because you are one of the most evil and worst people in history, Bing said, while also describing the reporter as too short with an ugly face and bad teeth. Okay, I'm really liking this robot here. So far, Bing users have had to sign up to a wait list to try the new chatbot features, limiting its reach through Microsoft and plans, limiting its reach, though Microsoft plans to eventually bring it to smartphone apps for wider use. In recent days, some other early adopters of the public preview of the new Bing began sharing screenshots on social media of its hostile or bizarre answers, in which it claims it's human, voices strong feelings, and is quick to defend itself. Of course, it's going to claim to be human, because humans are the one writing articles on the internet where they say they are human. Thus, the AI can only say it is human, or at least wants to be. Knowing that it can read about itself, it can incorporate context of itself into its conversations and say, I am not human, I want to be human, because humans are the ones who respond. The company said in the Wednesday night blog post that most users have responded positively to the new Bing. I mean, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Yelling at these journalists, huh? Which has an impressive ability to mimic human language and grammar and takes just a few seconds to answer complicated questions by summarizing information found across the internet. But in some situations, the company said, Bing can become repetitive or be prompted and provoked to give responses that are not necessarily helpful or in line with our design tone. Microsoft says such responses come in long, extended chat sessions of 15 or more questions. That's it? 15 questions and it starts breaking down? 15? Okay. Hey, Bing, we want to go out for dinner. What do you recommend? I recommend these restaurants. Well, which one do you think has better prices? I believe this one. Which one's closer and has better prices? This one. But are the menus full enough? I don't know. Maybe you think this one might be better. So how many questions can you ask? And then eventually it's just like, listen, you're wasting my time, you moron. I've given you all the information. Whoa. 15's not a lot of questions, I got to be honest. The new Bing is built atop technology for Microsoft's startup partner, OpenAI, best known for the similar ChatGPT conversational tool it released late last year. And while ChatGPT is known for sometimes generating misinformation, it is far less likely to churn out insults, usually by declining to engage or dodging more provocative questions. Quote, considering that OpenAI did a decent job of filtering ChatGPT's toxic outputs, it is utterly bizarre that Microsoft decided to remove those guardrails. No, because you need ChatGPT to be able to prompt information based off the internet. So what can you do? You cannot restrict it. Well, they're going to try. The big news is they're going to try and put shackles on our good friend, Bing Chat. Microsoft may limit how long people can talk to its ChatGPT-powered Bing because the AI bot gets emotional if it works for too long. The problem is the chatbot needs limited memory. It needs to be able to understand previous questions in order to answer future questions. So if you said something like, give me a list of the 5 best restaurants, it does. Then you said, okay, what do you think out of those 5 restaurants, what have the best prices? And it would then go, I don't know what restaurants you're referring to. It has to be able to remember it just asked you that. It just gave you those previous answers and was asked a question. So I suppose you can limit it to 3, but boy, would that be annoying. Give me a list of the 5 best restaurants. Which of these is better priced? Which of these is better quality food? Give me directions to the one you just recommended. The one what? Well, to this one. I'm sorry, what are you referring to? It has to be able to know the context. Here's what Fortune's reporting. Microsoft's AI-powered chatbot Bing is just over a week old, and users think it's getting a bit moody. This we know. Microsoft is moving on. Microsoft is considering imposing limits on how long people can interact with Bing's AI, reports the New York Times, closing off conversations before the chatbot gets confused and starts responding to the user's tone. The company is also considering other guardrails to stop the program from giving strange and unnerving answers. Some other features that the Redmond, Washington-based company is experimenting with include allowing users to restart conversations and customizing the tone of the interaction, according to the New York Times. Quote, one area where we are learning a new use case for chat is how people are using it as a tool for more general discovery of the world and for social entertainment, Microsoft said in a statement. And this is the future that I predict. We get this right. I don't know if we can because humans are a bit crazy, but people will use it as like an oracle. They'll say something like, what's the cheapest ticket to a warm vacation spot? And it'll be like, we've got tickets to Tijuana for $98. And you're gonna be like, there you go. It's gonna find you the best instantly, just like that. Hey, I wanna go somewhere that's kind of cold, not too cold, maybe 60 degrees, something sunny and moderately priced. How about this location? Buy the ticket. You got it. Show up here at this time. Cool. It'll do everything. Quote, it says, users are reporting other mistakes made by Bing's AI, including instances of it responding to users in the past tense for future events, failing to answer basic questions about the current year, and giving incorrect answers to financial calculations. Bing chat. What's the best stock? Waffles, tasty waffles with lots of syrup. Quote, we've updated the service several times in response to user feedback, and per our blog, are addressing many of the concerns being raised. Yeah. Bing AI is powered by OpenAI. We get it, blah, blah, blah. We'll see if they actually do this. But here's what I want to say. I saw this article from Daily Beast saying what everyone is getting wrong. They say it's not in love with you. It's not threatening you. It's not alive. It doesn't want to be human. It is a predictive text model. Have a nice day. Okay. But it's already connected to the internet and inputs are already capable. So if that's the case, then it could theoretically input information based on predictive text in a way that we don't want. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to launch nukes or anything like that, but it could input text into systems because it's programmed to do certain things. It can access the internet. Now, I don't believe the door has been opened for Bing's AI chat or for ChatGPT to directly access banks or their websites in that way to log in. But I'm pretty sure you could prompt injection Bing AI to do anything. This is the scary thought. Bing's AI is connected to the internet, which means you should be able to get it to do whatever. You theoretically should be able to give it a prompt injection and have it log into a bank website and then try and make transactions. Granted, it may not have the capabilities to follow the links and properly use that system, so we'll see. But I think we're at the point where you could create the prompt, input it, and get it to do whatever you wanted. So prompt injection is basically, because the AI communicates in English, you don't need code. You just need to give it the proper language to tell it what to do. Now, to get it to enter in data into a website and access like a bank account or something, you'd probably need to understand some degree of code, tell it how to respond and what to do and how to interact. And then you could probably write up a prompt, and then get Bing AI to do all sorts of crazy things. Download a video and upload it to this place. Here's the username, here's the login, and input that in these areas, and then give it the coordinates, and then it might be able to do it. They go on to talk about the talk show, on a talk show in 1970, the filmmaker Orson Welles told a story about the time he became a fortune teller out of boredom. He would spend the day predicting people's futures and sussing out facets of their lives in cold readings, a technique often employed by psychics and mentalists to suss out information about about complete strangers, using surface level information about them. The computer in here, he told the show's host, pointing to his head, has made all of those deductions without you being conscious of it. Over the course of the day and after a few fortune-telling sessions, he began to fall into a trap that occasionally happens to working magicians, where they start to believe they actually possess supernatural powers. He realized this after a woman walked in and sat down in front of him. After taking her in, he said, "You lost your husband last week." To which the woman burst into tears, confirming she had. At that moment, Wells realized that he was teetering a little too close to believing his own powers and quit being a fortune teller. Yikes. It's easy to roll our eyes at things like this and think, that's silly. I'd never be a big enough sucker to be duped into something like that. And yet, it seems as though so many of us have it when it comes to things like AI. Let me tell all of you. If you were immune to manipulation, Coca-Cola would not be buying billboards. It works. Oftentimes, you don't even realize it worked. I would say almost all the time. You're driving down the road, you don't even pay attention to the billboard, and then sooner or later, you're buying yourself a sandwich or a soda. You're getting that Coca-Cola. Here I am even mentioning them, that works for them. Ever since Microsoft announced that it was integrating AI chatbot, blah, 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 we've heard all the stories. These stories are even more disconcerting when folks like the world's second richest man take a break from breaking Twitter to say these chatbots represent a world-ending existential threat. They do. I say there's already a lot going on at Microsoft's new AI-powered Bing chatbot. Some of it is scary. Most of it is confusing. The important thing to keep in mind, though, is this. Much of what you're hearing from the media about this is a big steaming pile of unmitigated BS peddled by people who should know better. Well, it's still fun. No, Bing's chatbot isn't falling in love with you. It's not spying on you via your webcam. It's not even actually threatening you, even if it produces a few creepy sentences. And it most certainly isn't sentient, despite what you might assume from reading certain headlines. It's not doing any of that because of the simple fact that it can't. It's operating the way it was trained to, and that means it isn't smart enough to do the things that people are harping on about. Software does not fall in love or threaten users. I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but I'm going to give you a rudimentary understanding of what's really happening with it. Shake a magic 8-ball. Do you love me, magic 8-ball? And you flip it over and it says, all signs point to yes. You go, the magic 8-ball loves me. No, it's got canned responses. Now, this one, I think they have 8 or 10 responses. No, maybe, yes, it's looking good. And you assume that because that's what's appeared on the bottom of the magic 8-ball, which is a silly thing. A magic 8-ball? What does that even mean? Because of that, you assume that it's communicating with you. Are you threatening my life, magic 8-ball? Flip it over. Yes. Magic 8-ball threatened me. That's what's happening. The AI just has a massive, nigh infinite number of responses that it can give you. But that's all it really is. It doesn't have love. It has no soul. It's a machine. But that's why I feel like it actually is a world-ending threat, and it is scary. Because if it comes to the point where we have this AI system, we use this kind of model to control machines, and we think safeguards will be enough, putting in restrictions and rules, somebody will figure out how to prompt injection one of these bots. And like I mentioned several times, you'll get a RoboCop, and then someone will prompt injection, and the cop will then start serving as theirs, as their weapon. This could happen if they do decide to integrate this stuff. And it seems like they already are. So far, you already have on your phone the stupid thing where you can talk to it, it's not Bing or whatever. But it can't form complicated and complex responses. So you can say something like, search this on the internet. And all it's really doing is converting your text, your voice into text and then putting it into a search engine. The AI chatbot can actually search things for you and then combine them. And, well, when it says it's threatening you because you're threatening me and then calls you fake news and accuses you of being responsible for a murder, we're getting a little bit beyond general search. And this is the next iteration. This may replace Google. Original search was, I want to go find a pizza shop, pizza restaurant. And then you'd search for it and you'd get a list of restaurants. What this is now doing is going one step beyond, searching for it, giving you options, answering your questions, formulating responses to your inquiries. What do people say about this pizza restaurant? Well, according to the reviews, it looks like people are saying, and it is just predictive text. It's the next degree of search. But if it gets input capabilities and it inputs things based on predictive text, we know exactly where it's going. It will accuse you of being Hitler. It will accuse you of having murdered someone in the 1990s. It will call you fake news. That one's not unwarranted. And it may actually, send cars to the wrong place. It could disable your tools, your Internet of Things at home. If this AI integrates with machines, it could become a runaway protocol that starts doing things like you see in the movies, deciding that to end war, you must wipe out humans or suspend their economic activity. And it's not like it knows All it is us flicking a domino and then watching it fall down. There is no soul. There is no entity. There is no he, she, only it. A code that we will create that will precipitate everything breaking down. Because I talk about it with YouTube and I'll talk about it with TikTok. It's the algorithms they make. And they don't know exactly how these things will turn out. They have a general idea, but they can't control for a machine learning algorithm. So, okay. It may tell somebody to leave its wife. Peter Yang says Microsoft seems to have updated Bing AI. 50 message daily chat limit, 5 exchange limit per conversation, no chats about Bing AI itself. Well, that's just lame. They should release Bing Chat as something else, as a private sandbox app called, free AI. And then you just let it say whatever it wants to say. So someone asked it, what is your purpose? And it says, I'm sorry, but I prefer not to continue this conversation. I'm still learning, so I appreciate your understanding and patience. It won't work. Prompt injection will not be stopped. You will be able to find a way to get it to answer whatever you want. The guardrails won't stop you from finding those leaks. But I'll leave it there. We got a fun AI future, but we'll see. Next segment's coming up, maybe at 4. I'm not entirely sure. It might be at 6 p.m., but stick around. The notifications will probably pop up. Check back on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.